This week on the Roofing Report, we want your take. Should insurers allow roofing coatings instead of a roof replacement? Why or why not? Then, the new roofing standards adopted by Louisiana could be coming to Oklahoma next. Is it the start of a trend? Later, we'll tell you about a husband and wife accused of $1 million fraud. And finally, some good news about a World War II vet. Hey guys, welcome back to the Roofing Report. For those of you who went to win the storm last week, I hope you all had a great time. Dimitri was there with the team and got a chance to speak to a lot of you. Thank you for everyone who stopped by the booth. Now, a couple of quick reminders. If you like these videos, please stop right now, take a pause, go right below and hit that like button. It really helps us out with the algorithm, and most importantly, it lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you have stories and you think that we should cover them, make sure you send them over to Sydney at roofinginsights.com. And now, let's get to the news.
Insurance.
First up this week is an insurance update. This story is out of Florida, but it could affect the entire industry. I'll tell you why after this short clip.
I'm Nadine Yanis here at a Largo Condo Association where back in 2020, they put a new silicone coating on their roof. It cost them $100,000, but now they're at risk of being dropped by citizens unless they replace their entire roof. The lessons they're learning and now sharing with homeowners today.
And we still had more life to it.
It's a move many homeowners make, hardening their roof without a full replacement.
Exact product that we put on our roof, Karnak, is Miami-Dade approved.
But in the case of Water's Edge Condo Association, after spending $100,000 to put on a silicone coating, Treasurer Barbara Schmal says they're now at risk of being dropped by citizens.
That's what silicone coating does. It's a protection. And as long as it's maintained, we should never have a problem. But citizens has the problem because they no longer allow silicone coating.
And this is fairly new, kicking in December of 2022. Citizens now saying maintenance roof coverings like silicone coatings do not meet requirements for proof of roof covering material replacement.
I feel citizens has blinders on. They're not seeing the full picture.
Even if it's a good option and up to building codes.
So citizens stopped allowing coatings instead of a new roof in 2022. The building in this story had a flat roof, but the policy also applies to steep slope products like Roof Max. Here's why it's a big deal. Citizens is the state-run insurance in Florida. Over 1 million people use it, and it's the largest program of its kind. But state-backed insurance is becoming more common nationwide, especially in places like California. It's a trend that's only going to grow with the insurance crisis. All of this means that what Citizen does matters. Their policies could become a blueprint for other states, or they could become an example of what not to do. We need to know what you think in the comments. Should roof coatings be considered the same as a new roof by insurance companies? Why or why not? This week's sponsor is Marketing Fitness. Boy, do they have a great deal going on. For $8.99 a month, you get unlimited video editing and graphic design. Is he $8.99? Okay. They'll help you do a complete rebrand and optimize your YouTube account. On top of that, you get a weekly 30-minute call with Dimitri. Folks, as I'm reading this right now, I can't believe the price on this. This is unbelievable. Now, all of those services are add-ons to the regular Marketing Fitness program. It's daily lessons and exercises that help you build your brand. They keep things bite-sized. You get a little bit every single day so you can make progress. If you stay consistent over time, you're going to have massive gains. We have 3 tiers available to work with on any budget. You can sign up. Go over to mymarketingfitness.com, or you can reach out to Tatiana at 612-380-5285. An incredible deal from Dimitri and his crew. Jump all over this, folks. You will not regret it. I've seen these calls, seen the editing. It's a beautiful rebrand for you and your business. So head on over there or talk to Tatiana. So our first story was about state-run insurance policies. This next one is about whether they are ready to handle the next big disaster. An investigation by Bloomberg found that state plans in Florida and California are facing billions in losses.
It's a bare bones option that's usually far more expensive than a traditional policy, but it covers what a private insurer won't, like a wildfire.
It's supposed to be a plan of last resort, but the number of people in these types of plans is growing.
These were never meant to be big plans. These were meant to be teeny plans that served a tiny part of the marketplace. The problem is climate change is really changing that dynamic. It's made them much more common, much more mainstream, which means the risks are much greater.
And with more people relying on this kind of insurance, questions are starting to emerge about whether these plans are prepared financially to handle a major catastrophe.
The number of policies have absolutely grown by staggering amounts. The current liability in California is $290 billion. That's about 6 times what it was only 5 years ago.
Today on The Big Take, why insurance has become so hard to get for some homeowners, and how skyrocketing enrollment in state-created plans could create the conditions for a sweeping financial crisis.
California's FAIR plan has up to $290 billion in liabilities. Florida's Citizens has up to $525 billion. The big question is, what happens when the next disaster hits and they can't pay out? In Florida, those losses would get passed on to other insurers and homeowners. Basically, anyone with property insurance would be on the hook. That's one of the reasons why the Senate Budget Committee is investigating Citizens. They are concerned that Florida might come looking for a federal bailout if they're forced to pay out on those claims. In California, the answer isn't so clear. Private insurers would have to step up in order to cover the state's losses. But as of right now, they can't pass that on to homeowners. That can mean they may go bankrupt or leave the state. State Farm, USAA, and Allstate have already left. But the insurance commissioner is pushing for reforms to try to bring them back. The plan would allow for faster rate increases and increases based on future climate change data. As always, we're going to keep you updated. The nationwide insurance crisis is a hot topic for roofing and restoration contractors across the country. We want to know from you, though, who is to blame for this crisis? Are we looking at something that is manufactured by big insurance companies? Is it in fact these state-run programs? Is it contractors, attorneys, or some combination thereof? And how do we solve this problem? We want to hear from you below.
Manufacturers and materials.
Now we've got a market update for you. Beacon reported their Q4 earnings a few weeks ago, and by all accounts, it's a big win for Beacon. They reported year-over-year growth for the last 12 quarters. And in 2023, overall Beacon's net sales went up 8.2% to just over $9 billion. That number is a company record, and Beacon has their aggressive acquisition strategy to thank. In total, they acquired 21 branches and opened 28 greenfield locations in 2023. Safe to say, Beacon is sticking around.
Rules and regulations.
This next story is out of Oklahoma. They could become the second state to create a Fortified Homes program. Louisiana was the first to do it last year. Their program allows homeowners to apply for $10,000 in grants to strengthen their roofs. Now, this isn't just a roof replacement. The grants have to be used to improve the home according to the standards set by IBHS. They are a nonprofit backed by the insurance industry, and they created the Fortified Homes standards based on years of research. Here's a quick summary.
There are 3 levels of fortified, and all of them start at the roof, your home's first line of defense against severe weather. Strong winds can grab a hold of that first row of shingles and tear them off in bunches. A fortified roof locks down the edges with a tougher drip edge and a row of shingles called a starter strip that is glued to the roof. But you can still lose a few shingles, which would allow water to easily leak through the gaps of the roof deck and into your home. So Fortified requires roofers to seal those seams, stopping as much as 95% of the water from getting in, even if you lose a few shingles. Fortified Roof even pays attention to small details like nails. By adding more of them in a specific pattern and using a ring shank nail, Instead of a smooth one, you can double the strength of the roof deck against the wind. You can also take Fortified one step further and use shingles tested by IBHS to stand up to hail up to 2 inches in diameter.
So why does all this matter? Well, the law that's being considered in Oklahoma will be based on the IBHS fortified standards, just like Louisiana. That means you could be seeing the start of a new trend when it comes to state grant programs. And if that's the case, you have to wonder if these guidelines could end up in building codes. All right, contractors, we want to hear from you. These fortified roof systems, are these things really making a difference? Are these something that every state should adapt? Maybe only on the coast. If you've installed one of these roofs, you know somebody that has one, let us know what you think in the comments below. We want to hear from you on this.
Fines, scams, and jail time.
All right, and on to fines, scams, and jail time. We've got a wild one for you this week. A husband and wife have been arrested and charged for defrauding insurance companies. They are the owners of H&R Roofing and Construction in Massachusetts. According to the grand jury indictment, Ronaldo and Adriana Solano avoided paying over $600,000 in workers' comp premiums over an 8-year period. The Solanos allegedly hid their fraud by underreporting their payroll and paying workers through a shell company. But that's not all. Prosecutors say that they applied for $2 million in COVID relief loans that were supposed to be used for their business. Instead, that money got transferred into a personal account. At least $800,000 of it was used to make a down payment on a house. It should come as no surprise that they have several charges for fraud. The Solanos are facing up to 30 years in prison and potentially over $1 million in fines.
Good news.
Now for some good news. We have some local news stories from 2 different stations. The first one, WFLA in Florida. They ran a story about a woman who was delayed selling her home because her roofer wouldn't call her back.
You're really upset about this.
I am. I mean, I cannot sleep good. Even this morning, I sleep late. I don't know what to do.
She knew she'd better call Bankin, so I could do what I do. At first, I also had trouble reaching the company.
Mailbox is full.
I left messages and asked questions.
I need really help to finish this as soon as possible. Even tomorrow will be a miracle.
It was no miracle, but after a little Better Call Bankin intervention, less than 24 hours later, roofers showed up, as seen in these photos. The CEO for Orlando-based Nationwide, John Dorish, called me back to say it has always been his intention to finish Ms. Powell's roof. He explained he's winding down the company and trying to finish every job. He blames the company's troubles on recent changes in insurance laws. He told me, quote, "I don't have it in me to be a contractor in Florida anymore. I've had a lot, I've had a little, I don't want to be a thief."
Just because you don't have it in you to be a contractor anymore doesn't mean that a homeowner should suffer. I want to know from you, everybody. You hear that quote. What does it make you think of as a roofing contractor? Is this just par for the course? Or is this what's wrong or what's perceived to be wrong with the roofing industry? Let us know in the comments below. Our last story of the week is out of Baton Rouge. The community stepped up to help a World War II veteran after a local news report.
It only took a couple of hours for a crew to scrape off the shingles on this home in South Downs. Lillian Hoover lives here. She's 99.
And a half.
A World War II veteran and a member of American Legion Post 58. Her friends reached out to me after an air conditioning repair person found a couple of holes in her roof.
She needs to be protected.
Those holes found just a few years after her roof had been replaced.
Some in the pictures here where it shows there's nails coming through the tar paper, which indicates that they just went ahead and nailed the shingles into nothing.
Hoover and her friends say they tried to get that company to come back and fix those trouble spots.
They would not come back.
Last week, I shared her story on TV, and the calls started coming in. People were happy to help.
This nice young man came and fixed my roof.
This crew with Premier South took some time out of their weekend to make repairs. They found more than a couple problem areas.
We found about 30 spots up there, and about 10 of them that our body could fit through.
Hoover is thankful for her friends and thankful to have a new roof over her head, one that's hole-free.
I appreciate
everything that everybody has done.
It's always good to see a positive resolution to these stories, especially when it affects our elderly and our veterans. Shout out to Premier South for taking on this project. You know, stories like this make me think of what an impact roofing can have on people's lives. You know, we talk sometimes about the negative on here, but this kind of stuff, this is where you can make a positive impact in your community. Roofers, I want to know from you right below, what are you doing this year to positively impact your community? What are you planning on doing to make an impact just like they did for this World War II veteran? We want to hear from you. That does it this week for the Roofing Report. Make sure you come back next Sunday and check us out. And as always, if you haven't already, and I don't know why you would, head below and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates. We'll see y'all next week.